22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
What's up, everybody? This is Damon K. Jones here, and welcome to Black Westchester's Black Love Sundays. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got my girl, Nikki Toy. So
welcome. Good evening, Damien. Good evening. How are you?
What's happening? How was your week, Nikki?
Wow. My week was good. I'm at this stage in my life where I am currently the primary caregiver for my mother. She moved in officially with me on Sunday.
God bless.
So I am learning how to manage those hats and juggle all of that with everything else that I have going on. So to anyone that is in my same situation, my hat goes off to you, because it takes a lot to be able to mother your mother, right?
Yeah, trust me, I know. I was my mother's caregiver about 4 years when she really got sick. And she had open heart surgery and with the diabetes, and then she ended up having her lower leg amputated, and
oh my goodness,
with that, and taking her to, and before that I used to take her to the doctors. I used to get off at work at 7:00. She lived on 90 Ferris. I used to get off at work at 7:00. I used to stay at work till about 8:30. Didn't want to wake her up early. And I used to bring her breakfast, set her up, get her washed up. Once she was set, about 12:00, or maybe we used to go to the candlelight, and then about 12:00, 1:00, I used to go home.
Okay.
And I used to do that every day. That was an everyday thing, until she got real sick and she had to end up going to the hospital. And even then, when she was at the Wartburg, I used to come every day after work and stay with her at 12:00. So I understand, and you're blessed because she's home with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's an added relief, because
yes, it is. It really is. It really is.
I was literally like on pins and needles, all the way to the next day, that she was okay, and she used to text me like all the time. So that's how I knew, until her arthritis got bad, she couldn't text, but let me tell you, it's a blessing, and it's a lot of work, work. It takes prayer, meditation, affirmations, man, but it's a blessing to always to be able to take care of your parents that took care of you,
Amen to that. It's actually been very rewarding. And like you were saying earlier, in regards to, for the past, since 2016, I've been going back and forth after my aunt had passed away. Aunt Shirley, who you know, my Aunt Shirley, they had
Right.
bought a house together. So I have been going back and forth, checking on her and things like that. And like right during COVID, I took off and was down there with her during COVID. And that's when her health started declining. But she was
Right.
really adamant on staying in her home and being independent as much as possible. And my sister and I wanted to respect that. But like you said, it was very stressful. We had cameras in the house. We had people coming in bathing her, the home health aides.
Hmm.
I'm checking the cameras constantly. I'm always on pinch, I'm like eggs, pins and needles, because I never know if I'm going to get a phone call that this is wrong or that's wrong. And we're all the way in New York and she's in North Carolina.
Right.
So her being in New York, and she was staying with Kimber when I first bought her back, but now she's going to just kind of stay with me primarily and then go to Kimber's on the weekends. It's a huge sense of relief. And I didn't realize how much I had been carrying it with me until I brought her back with me to New York and was like, wow, I don't have to check the cameras. I don't have to do this, because you don't realize how you're just in the routine of doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
Um, and so, but it's my honor, it's my pleasure. My mother has been a great mom to my sister and I. She took care of us, and it's only natural that we take care of her. My son has been a tremendous help. So it does take a village, as they say, and I have a great support system with family and friends. But it
Right.
is a lot of work. But I mean, it's just part of the circle of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
And
my mother raised me to be this woman that can do it, and so I'm going to do it.
that's it. That's it. And I look back and I wouldn't change it any other way.
I hear you.
I wouldn't change it any other way, So, and I tell everybody I would have rather have my mother home with me than in these nursing homes. And I'm going to tell you a story which is remarkable. A friend of my coworker, a friend, had his father in a nursing home. They need to tell him that his father passed. They didn't even tell him that his father. It took him a week to find out where his father was.
That's horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. You hear the stories and things like that. My thing is, being a person that has worked in nursing homes and daycares and things like that, I don't want to give them the bad reputation, because there are people in there that truly love what they do, and they're there because they love taking care of elderly people. I just feel, for me, that right now, since she is still physically able where I can take care of her. Now, she got medically sick and I had to put her in a nursing home. That's something different. But right now, she's not there. And, we're talking about Black love, in Africa and other, Caribbean countries and stuff like that. They don't put elderly people
Exactly.
in homes and things like that. Elderly people are held in high regard. They are considered, wisdom. And so having her here with me and us talking, and just, she's just pouring so much into me, even though she might be repeating herself 100 times. I'm trying to listen to all those gems that she's dropping in between the conversations. And she's just boosting me up so much, where just being here with me and hearing how I interact with my son. And she's just like, oh, you guys, this house is just so peaceful. And, the way you and your son interact with each other, I love that, Nikki. You guys are so kind and loving. I'm just like, she's motivating me and inspiring me and encouraging me to be a better person without me even realizing it.
Absolutely. I mean, my mom used to drop gems all the time. She used to drop gems all the time. And even at her funeral, the pastor, he said she used to drop gems on him, because, but, and that's the time, that you can't get back. And those are precious times, man. Those are precious times but that story with my coworker gets worse. They called him 2 weeks ago. Now, his father, maybe about 6 months, I think. They called him 2 weeks ago and said, oh, you could come see your father now.
Are you kidding me?
You could come.
You gotta laugh. from like crying or going crazy sometimes, right? You got to find the humor and stuff.
And he was like, "What are you
What?
talking about?" Yeah, your father. He said, "Are you sure?" Right? They was like, "Yeah, your father's this name, birthday." They checked the birthday and everything. He was like, "Is this a sick joke? Is this a sick joke?" You know. He said, "You need to check on this." She said, "Oh, I'm gonna check and call you back," and they never called back. You know, and I'm not gonna blow the place up, but I just caution everybody, man. When you get to that point, please. I mean, it's a job, because when my mother, they stole my mother's clothes. It was crazy. It was literally insane dealing with her in that nursing home, with those people that worked there. Like
I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
I was literally about to go to jail on some days. Like I had to go to regulate every day. Every day. Like I would F you up if you mess with my mother. I don't care, man, woman. Y'all are bugging up in here. You know, y'all are bugging up in here. So, and I didn't think of, but other people told me the same thing. And I'm like, nah, I can't be that bad, right? You know what I'm saying? It can't be that bad. But I was like, Jesus Christ, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like they really need some type of oversight in New York State over these nursing homes, and especially like I was there every day. Imagine someone that didn't have family to come see them.
Exactly, exactly. And there's a lot of people that do that, that just leave them in there and no one check. And that's why they get away with what they're getting away with also too, you know?
Exactly.
So, my mother, and then she also has, she's in early stages of dementia. So my thing is, I want to be around her as much as possible. I'm feeding her good quality food. I'm making sure she's drinking things. I've done my research. I'm starting to give her certain herbs.
Exactly.
And, we walk every day. My son is here, like I said, he's talking to her. So it's keeping her brain active. I'm getting her into a program. We had her one in Peekskill. I'm going to look for a senior program for her down here. So, just trying to keep her as active and cognizant as much as we can, because unfortunately, with that disease, there's going to be a point where she's not going to know who we are. So I want her to be around the people that love her and knows who she are and who she is. And she knows who we are. You know what I'm saying? So that's very important to me.
You're doing
and also, I feel like it's setting a good example for my son too, because he's the only child, and I want to show him, and it teaches him also to how to have empathy, be compassionate.
That's right.
Take care of somebody outside of yourself. He's an only child, so you tend to be a little selfish, right? So
yeah, I was.
I know.
I was definitely selfish. I got mine, you gotta get yours, and sometimes it pops up here and there, with the toothbrush, with the toothpaste, and this is my toothpaste. You gotta get your own. Sometimes it pop up. I'm still working on it.
I mean, I feel like we are all, Vanessa and I were having a conversation yesterday, and I don't do New Year's resolutions. I try to pick words to live by instead of resolutions. So for the past 2 years, I've been using the word grace, giving myself grace and giving other people grace. And I don't feel like we do that enough with each other, especially Black people. This is what do they call it? A cancel culture, right? And the minute that someone does something to you that triggers you or offends you or makes you upset, you block them. I'm not dealing with them. And I'm all for protecting and blocking my peace. I understand that. But certain relationships that bring value to you, because relationships are going to be difficult. Things are going to be messy sometimes. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to have to say things that they have to come back and apologize for. And I feel like we don't do that enough, and we don't give each other enough grace and enough forgiveness. I really don't, because I see it all the time. I'm out working. It's just not nice how we treat each other as Black people.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, I just put a video up. I had to refrain myself from responding to somebody on Instagram. I wrote the response and I deleted it. right? Because I said to myself, you're better than that, right? I went back and to just deleted it and blocked him, because I didn't need eagles don't fly with pigeons, right? So if you're an eagle and you flying and you got a pigeon that's hating, you just keep soaring. Right? You don't have to deal with the pigeon, and I wrote, there's things that when you are in your purpose, right? When God has you in your purpose, there's going to be those haters, right? Every level that you attain, there's going to be a different devil you got to deal with. It's no different. I try to tell the young guys, I said, when y'all playing these video games, right? It's always a boss level, right? Before you get to the next level, there's a fight that you gotta have as the boss. It's like the hardest part of that level to get to the next level. And that's the same thing. Every level, there's a devil that you're gonna have to overcome. And it's very important for us to actually pray for them. Right? Because hate is a sickness. When somebody is hating for you, hating on you, right? It's definitely a sickness. You hate, you don't worry.
2 hours later,
You keep doing the things that God has blessed you to do. Stay on your purpose and your mission, and God will bless you with abundance. We have to stay focused on that. I could easily switch the old fast D and punch them in the face and do the things that I used to do, right? But I don't want to be that person, right? And I don't need to be that person unless my family is being, to save my family. I have no problem switching back to that person. But it's the thing is, we have to stay in constant prayer, man, because when you're doing good, for yourself and for others, because I believe God put us here for service, for whatever our purpose is to serve others, and if we all stick by that, we could have a better world, but we can't allow people to take us off our mission and our purpose. And they're out there. It's a mental illness, right? I look at it. I look at the haters like they have a mental illness, and the fact of the matter is, there's so many people that are walking around that could be diagnosed having a mental illness, and they don't know it, and we don't know it, right? Because this world is just so stressful.
It is. It is.
Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. It is. It's a very stressful world. Coming home, leaving your house and coming home every day is a blessing.
Right.
And you add on to it that we are people of color, right? So every day we walk out of our house, we have a target on our back, men or women, woman or child.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. Lately, for the past, because I was there in January, and I wanted to take her then, but she wasn't ready to go then. And so when I had to make a decision, it was one of those abrupt decisions. I couldn't find her for a day. She had one of her dementia episodes, and I literally, like Thursday, I was in North Carolina that Monday and brought her back that Friday. And I was just kind of like questioning, and not really questioning God in a bad way, because I have an amazing relationship with him, because I meditate a lot and I pray a lot. But I was just kind of like, all right, God, what are you preparing me for now for this next stage of my life? Right. And I've been praying a lot, like you said, and that's the one thing that has kind of really has sustained me. And people don't realize that, because I have been going through a lot. I have a lot on my plate right now, a lot on my plate. And if it wasn't for prayer, and if it wasn't for God, and if it wasn't for meditation and all those self-care tools that I have in my toolbox, connecting with nature, taking walks, riding my bike, going to sit by the water, and kind of really being just still You know, not really doing too much, not really talking to a lot of people, just my core that I need, right? Because we all have our core foundation that we have, our roots, as I call them. But that's where I've kind of been, and I've been also praising God out loud. So that's the first thing when I get on social media. Before I do anything, I make sure I put some type of scripture and I'm hashtagging it, praising God out loud. And I've been feeling like since I've started doing that in March, so much momentum and blessings have just been coming to me because I'm in the frequency of gratefulness, gratitude, abundance, even though everything around me is falling apart.
Wow. Wow. Yep. Yep. And that's that's being connected. You know, I mean, we can't allow, we have to have, you know, and I call it the health mindset. Other people call it different type of mindsets, right? But we have to have that type of mindset that there's sides to everything. Right? You never seen a one-sided coin, right? You never seen a one-sided dollar, right? You never. So there's always two sides. We could pick the worst side of the situation, or we could analyze it and see the better and see the opposite side. You know, it's all in the mindset that we have, right? Our mindset can keep us sick, and our mindset can make us healthy. It's all in our mindset, you know. And until we understand the mind, body, and spirit connection, you know, and I'm putting a whole book together about that because I think it's very serious on how we heal ourselves, right? Holistically and spiritually. And if we are not healthy in those areas, our organs respond to it. Like we don't even know how great this body is that we walk around and we take it for granted.
We do.
We take it for granted. And whoever's watching say, well, man, what does that have to do with love? It has everything to do with love, right? Because if you're not loving yourself, right? If you're not putting that love into yourself, you're not going to be able to put that same love into anybody else.
I agree. I agree. It all starts with you. For me, from a feminine perspective, I always look at it as I'm laying the foundation for my future, my family, and my future family, right? So, how I eat, how I think, how I interact with people, I'm teaching my son, and if I had other children, all those types of things of how to take care of himself and how to interact and love on himself. And then from there, it kind of, you know, can trickle down throughout the family. Like, I even noticed, like, my son's his way of thinking has changed because he's modeling what he's seeing me do. Because people always say children don't do what you say, they do what you do.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I've caught him, you know, praying. I've seen him sitting, being still, meditating. He's very intentional of what he eats. He's a pescatarian. At his age, I didn't even know what the hell a pescatarian was. You know what I'm saying? So that definitely shows me that whatever I'm doing is rubbing off in the right ways. And when I get a little, because I've been a little, like I said, a lot's been going on. And when I'm like high strung, he'd be like, Mom, what you always teach me? Take a breath, calm down, you know, go do what you need to do. I got this. I'm like, thank you, son. Thank you, son.
Wow.
And I know a few years ago, that was not me.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Well, we grow. You know, we grow, and the thing is, I saw somebody on one of the. If we're doing the same thing that we're doing 10 years ago, we're not looking at life and what life has taught us within the last 10 years. You know, we're fooling ourselves, right? We're not growing. We should not be the same person that we were 10 years ago. It's no way. You know, I remember I went to boot camp and in the Marine Corps, And I came home. I was so excited to come home. And I came home. Now here I am, you know, doing all type of crazy things in boot camp, jumping off this, doing that, staying out in the woods, and doing all the crazy things that people do in boot camp. And I get home, and it's like, yo, what's up, man? What's going on? What you doing? We just chilling, right? And I'm like, damn, y'all doing the same shit. Y'all doing the same shit that you doing before I left. And y'all ain't done shit, right? So it just made me like, all right, it has to be something better than this, right? We have to be doing something better. But everybody's experience, what is in their reality, shapes them. But like, it goes back to the mindset. When at what point do you say, I'm better than this?
Well, it's something that I agree with you 100%. Also, too, I guess for me, what I'm struggling with, especially in our community, is that I can't get Black women to exercise. I don't know what's going. I don't know what's maybe in Westchester. And we're all of a certain age, right? We all have medical conditions that we're dealing with, and exercise with, like you said, mind, body, and spirit. That's something I learned at the YMCA. And I always share my story. When I first started exercising, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just exercising, taking classes, and I just started loving it. And then I started feeling better. And then my mind was like, oh, we need to start eating better. It's just something that just kind of clicks. You know what I'm saying? And then you just want to start being better. You want to start eating better. You want to start, drinking better. You just want to do everything better. And so I don't know why we are not exercising, because it has been proven that 1 out of 4 African American women or women of color suffer from some type of cardiovascular, diabetes, you name it, we got it. And we are just not that interested in doing it. And I don't know why. It's just a simple walk, 30 minutes, 3 times a week. You'd be surprised how that changes everything in your life.
Exactly. My friend Iris Oliver, she's watching from YouTube. She said, make your videos of your mother, take pictures, and
I do.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep. I document a lot of stuff and just like record. Like, she doesn't even know I'll be recording her. She just be talking.
Exactly.
And I'll just ask her questions about, because sometimes when she's in one of her good moods, she can remember everything. So I ask her questions about like my grandparents, where she's from, my great grandparents that I didn't know. So much history is in her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's that's a blessing. Like, I had a mentor, Roger Abel, and I still kick myself in the butt because he was up there, he was getting sick. He wrote his first book was Black Shields. It was about the history of Blacks in law enforcement in NYPD, from the first Black cop all the way up to, I believe it was around 2000.
Wow.
And he was working on his second book. It was Black Shields 2, to talk about the next generation, like the activists. Like, at that time, man, it was Eric Adams. He was out there and about. It was other young brothers, myself. We was all out there turning it up, and Roger was writing it all down, and he wanted to talk. He wanted to put a book out, but he died. He passed away. But right before, when he was sick and he wasn't able to get around, he said to me, he said, brother, he said, that video stuff, I don't know it. He said, I need you to get a day and come down, turn it on, and let me talk. And I never did it, right? Because I never thought he would leave. I kept putting it off, like, Roger ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Let me work this overtime, and that was one of the things that I kicked myself in the butt for not taking that one day and bringing my video camera and putting it on and just let him talk. He was the type of brother that if he talked to you, about 5 minutes, he would say, "You're not taking any notes." Like I'm not telling you this, to boost my ego. I'm telling you this to teach you some things how to move on in your career and the knowledge and wisdom that I gained, all the years, so you won't make these mistakes. So I think our elders, we don't respect them enough. We think we know it all, right? We think that we're good at the game, right? When they played the game 10, 12, 13, 14 times, made their mistakes, readjusted, went back and did what they had to do, and we're just playing it for the first time. And we don't listen to our elders, and we don't cherish our elders enough. And I think that's one of the difference where this new culture, right, and imitating this white culture, because they're a primary culture, right? We are extended culture, meaning we have our great grandmas, our aunties, and well, we used to, right, have our great grandmas, our aunties, and our uncles, and all that. Sometimes be in one house, all on the same block. But we have imitated a culture now that they're primary, and that is the European understanding, because they're primary, husband, wife, children, right? They have no problem putting their grandmother in a nursing home and don't even go by and see it, right? That's how these institutions run. We've gotten away from our spiritual nature to keep our elders, to keep our elders around. Our elders are the connection to God. That's our connection, right?
I agree.
And
I
having and I think that these are issues that go on in the Black community that we don't have those proper discussions in valuing what our elders bring to us. And I think just got to keep pushing it, these young people. But we got to do the work. I told somebody, I said, look, you don't get respect. Why should the young children respect us when they go in the white communities and see it all clean, nice, right? They see it nice. They say, wow, man, this is great out, quiet, no gunshots, right? Then they come back to their community and they see it in turmoil, right? So why should they why should they respect us? And I've seen grown people in the Black community roll up the garbage, throw it on the ground. They go on White Plains, they walk that same piece of paper, they walk it to the trash can, right? So they know how to act, right? They just don't have respect for themselves and their own community.
It breaks my heart because I go to Mount Vernon at least once a week, to buy the fish for Vanessa and I's business. And so it's interesting. So this week, since mommy's been with me, I took her with me and we rode down. So, I live in Sleepy Hollow. So we're just driving and, my mother hasn't been in New York in years. So, she doesn't really know what's going on or where she's at, but she knows, what's up. And I was like, oh, we're in Mount Vernon now. She was like, I know. Because she knew immediately we were in Mount Vernon because of the change of the environment, right? From when we left Sleepy Hollow, drove on the highway, and made our way to Mount Vernon. Right. One of the things that I always try to make sure I do, I try to make sure I get my fish before the kids get out of school, because that's one place I don't want to be on the Ave when them kids is getting out of school, because it's crazy. That's like, people don't want to be on the trains when the kids get out of the trains in the city, right? Because it's just But to me, it's just a lack of parenting at home. It all starts at home. I am so blessed and so thankful that I was born into a Southern household with old school Southern values of respect and how you carry yourself and how you communicate with people and how you interact with people. You just have a certain pride. Like my mother always talks about, they didn't have much, but what they had, they were very proud of what they had, and they took care of it. You know, I wasn't allowed to throw trash out in front of my house. Like, as a little kid, you be playing, like eating a popsicle outside or whatever, and you throw the stick on the ground. If my mother and father saw it, they'd be like, this is where you live. You pick that up and put it in the garbage. You don't throw trash out where you live. Like, those were things that were instilled in me. And then I just kind of passed that same thing down to Nasir.
Right. I after I bought my house, right? So the unit, the unit I live in is probably about 90% black. About 90% black. Maybe 95. I only saw maybe like 3 white families. Right?
Where you live now?
Where I live now. Right?
Okay.
Now, most of us are law enforcement.
Okay.
Majority of people that live in my complex is law enforcement. Or civil service, right?
Interesting. Why do you think that is? That's just a psychology question. I'm curious to know.
Because you know what happened. You see, a lot of they don't understand. Like up here, Middletown, Orange County, there's a lot of law enforcement up here. Because where you gonna buy a brand new house under $330,000?
That part.
You understand what I'm saying? We paid $328 for ours, and now it went up like $150,000. But where are you gonna find that? So, but up here, what they were doing when we got up here is they were giving $1,000 to any reference. If the person closed, you got $1,000, right? So it's mad Rikers up here, right? They was hustling. I ain't mad at them. Like some dudes got 4 or 5 families up here. 10 families to come up here and get homes. You know what I'm saying? So he got like every closing, he got $1,000. And so a lot of people. There was one guy I used to work for. De Blasio that moved up here, but a lot of people move up here because of the fact that it was at the time. I don't know, it was cheaper. It was cheaper real estate, and you're able to own a house. The only thing was the drive. I said that to say, one day I came outside, right, and I saw an empty bottle. And lost it, right? And completely lost it. And I couldn't find the person. I was looking on my Ring cam trying to find who the hell left this damn bottle out here in the parking lot. Like what? Like, no, we don't do that, right? We don't do that. You have to have some type of you have to have some type of respect, for people that not only do they drive. I drive an hour, but there's some people that live up here and they drive to Brooklyn, every day.
Wow.
Right? They drive to Rikers Island to go to work, and they live up here, So when you do all that, and then you come outside and you see garbage.
That's a trigger. That's a trigger for one of you. Ready you black out?
I lose my mind. Right, I lose my mind because we should know better, right? That we
I'm going to use the word grace again, right?
Absolutely. So no, absolutely. I just wanted to find out who it was, so we can have
a conversation.
Like, come on, man. Like, if you're here, you obviously visiting somebody. Take it inside. Take it inside. usually we will have the only time we upset the neighbors, we will have a barbecue, and it'd just be a lot of people, you know. But we want everybody. You know, today we're gonna have a barbecue, y'all. You know, and it might be a lot of people, you know, but we'll try to keep everything, you know. And the haters, they'll call the cops on us, you know.
I mean, we're gonna always have those, right? So that's just what it is.
Right, you know, and when other people have, you know, I don't stress none of that. I mean, what if you spend all this money and you working hard for a house, you should be able to enjoy it.
Hmm. And it's interesting when you were talking about communities, because when you think about it, when you think about all the Black communities that we had before they destroyed them,
Right, right.
those communities were pristine, right? Because, you know, when you look at the, like my parents' generation, the generation of that, they took pride. So they were very proud of their homes and their storefronts, and, you know, even how they carried themselves. You know, you didn't just come out in the street looking any old kind of way. You made sure you were presentable when you came out and interacted with people.
And right, and all that has to do with self-love, right?
So it all goes back to you and loving on yourself.
Yeah, all that has to do with self-love. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, Nikki,
Okay.
and you smiling.
I was waiting. I've been waiting.
I had a conversation. I even had a conversation today. I don't know why my phone is acting up today, but I had a conversation today. I had posted. So two things. You
Okay.
know, there was a lot of issue with the news host that said when Iyanla Vanzant asked her if she dated a bus driver.
I saw that.
And she said, only if he owns the bus. And Sister Van Zandt politely right? And then she did a rant after a couple of days. She did a rant.
That too. I did. I saw that too. That was her rebuttal. That was her rebuttal.
Right, which was kind of crazy. But then
she caught a lot of heat for that. You know, she caught a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, because a lot of people, absolutely, but she caught a lot of heat. But then on the show, there was one lady there who doubled down basically on what she was saying. You know, to the point, you know, she said, you know, Black women are the most educated women in the United States, which that's not true, right? Black women, look, I'm not knocking no Black woman's education, but when a statement is made like that to justify why a Black woman should not date a bus driver or date a plumber, which makes a lot of money. I don't understand, right? Or, you know, or someone who worked with their hands. It's kind of crazy because the Black community, you know, was thriving off of men that had jobs with their hands, right? It didn't take the turn to the computer age, right? Where most work was done on a computer. But the middle classes of Black people are where what we stand on. It was people with their hands.
People that were had trade jobs.
Right. And let me tell you, right here in Westchester, the Black middle class of Westchester County was on the backs of General Motors and the Department of Corrections. Department of Corrections employed more Black men than any other civil service department in Westchester County in 1992. And then you had all these Black men and women, but Black men were working at the General Motors plant, which they bought houses and developed a middle class with their hands. Now today, all of a sudden, these jobs that was good yesterday, that bought houses and probably sent her, well, because she said, "Oh, my mother's a bus driver." Okay, well, your mother sent you to school to be a lawyer from that bus driver job.
But you notice the key thing, not to cut you off, and that's all that's not the only thing that I heard, but if you listen to her story, she didn't have a father. So she never saw a black man in that role.
Right.
So from her perspective, she couldn't even fathom that because she never had that. Where somebody like me, that my dad was a carpenter, I was around a bunch of uncles that all had jobs either at General Motors or they worked as a plumber or electrician or, you know, whatever they did, they were the head of the households and they worked. So I have always seen black men in the role of a provider. And how I was raised, a bus driver, that's a great job, right? You got benefits, you're going to get a pension. It's going to be a consistent job.
Right.
So that's not a job that you would just kind of like, you know, blow your nose at. So she doesn't know, but it was just kind of like, girl, what you talking about? But, you know, women, but I know so many women like that. I know, so, you know, we make a certain amount of money and then we think like, okay, well, I have this money. My man is supposed to match that, but realistically, the average black person, not even man, makes what, 50,000? The statistics, it ranges between 35,000 and 60,000 a year.
Exactly.
So what black man are you going to find? And then we have to look at that also too. The black men that are in her, I guess her percent, they're not going to want her because she's too old. Because the 1%ers that are making $1 million, they want somebody who's going to be young, that's going to be able to raise their children, and that's their job.
Let me tell you something. If you over 45 and you got kids, forget the 1%er.
That's it. You have excluded yourself.
Forget if you over 45 and you got kids, you can forget the 1%er.
They're not dating you. You're not even on their radar.
Now I looked at I'm at ZipRecruiter, right? And according to ZipRecruiter, the average male salary in the United States is $37,307 a year.
I Googled it because I knew we were going to have this conversation. So I was already prepared with my statistics. And Earn Your Leisure, shout out to Troy and Rashad. They have posted it the other day too of what, you know, the salaries are for people in America. So I was kind of like, all right, girlfriend, but you know, she's speaking from her perspective. And that's the thing that people always have to remember. She's speaking from her perspective. But like Alana told her very nicely, but she doesn't have a man, right?
Exactly. But that goes into the narrative, right? That goes into the narrative. And it's like, yo, like, I think
it was so inflammatory because she has such a high figure. So her stating something like that, being that she has so many followers and she's such a, you know, she's a news broadcaster. So her voice, her range can impact a lot of people. So I think that's why I think it was so offensive when we all heard it, because I was just kind of like, what is she talking about? And then I was like, okay, I can't wait to hear what Alana's going to say, because I knew she was going to come right back on her.
Yeah, but that's the narrative. But see, that falls into the narrative, right? It falls in, and I really believe that some of these women are actually getting paid to say some of this shit. Even because you cannot. Let me tell you something. You cannot be educated, right? If you say, oh, black women are the most educated women in America, but when you Google it, you're not, right? So it's just it doesn't add up, because why? If you are the most educated, then why would you make a statement that is false on national TV? Right? And the only thing a person can do is pick up the phone. Yes, there are more women that are educated than men, because most men, we work with our hands. And a lot of times we don't need the master's degrees and the doctor's degrees to do the jobs that we're doing. But black women, is according to the site I saw, they're not the most educated, right?
We're not.
It's white
It's
women.
Asian. It's Asian
It's
and
Asian
Indian.
women, white women.
No, Asian, Indian, then white women.
Okay, Asian, Indian, but yeah, but that the numbers I saw, they put them together. Asian /
Yeah, because that's what they call it, Pacific,
right,
Pacific, Asian, something like that. They consider that.
right, and then I throw the argument. I said, okay, so if you're saying because of your education, right, you have a hard time finding a mate, right? Why the Asian woman ain't saying that, right? And their marriage rate triples the black woman's marriage rate, and their divorce rate is lower.
Well, I think, in my opinion, I'm going to say this because I'm around women all the time. I'm a woman. I hear conversations. We always have these conversations, right? So when I come across talking about feminine energy, and that's something that really kind of ruffles those alpha females. And what they have to learn is that you can be a boss at work and do what you do, but when you come home, you have to take that boss hat off and be a wife to your husband or a partner to your partner. And a lot of times we don't know how to transition in those worlds. And men feel love through respect, right? Women feel love through like actual affection, being told that's what we need. Those are our love languages. And so when you don't respect your man, and so I don't know where we got this from, but this is where we're at, Damien, and we have to be honest with it. If we make more money than you, we feel like we don't gotta live. I don't know. I'm not like that, but I know a lot of women that are like, oh, he can't tell me shit. I'm paying all the bills and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm like, okay.
Those are the agents, right? Those are those agent provocateur women, right? That has put this narrative out there to black women, right? That because you because you have some money and you're able to pay bills, that you don't have to respect your man. That's crazy, right? That's insane. And you're going to be by yourself unless you're going to get a broken man. You're going to get a clown. See, only clowns allow that to happen, right? And then these women get mad because a clown's going to be a clown and he's going to put your life in a circus regardless. Whether he have accessories, nice car, and all this, if he's still a clown, he's still going to make your life a circus. So I mean, it is what it is. But that's what they end up getting is clowns, and then all men are dogs. No, because the healthy man, he's comfortable where he's at, right? He's comfortable doing what he wants to do. So,
it's interesting. I just read an article. Not to cut you off. I'm sorry, Damon. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have read an article and I saved it. So the whole independent feminist movement came from white women who wrote the magazine Westchester Women's Magazine back in the 70s. But they were all married and they came up with this narrative, the feminists, and they were the ones that pumped all this, like, move to New York City, you don't need no husband, you're going to live this elite life. So they kind of started brainwashing women, but it was really to affect the African American woman because they still had their husbands, right? We talk about this with the rappers, right? We talk about, Beyonce, all the single ladies, but Beyonce got Jay-Z, right? All the rappers that are telling us, city girls, go be wild, but they still have their husbands and their boyfriends and their significant others at home. So it's always the narrative of destroying the Black family and not connecting the man and the woman.
But that's the agenda.
Of course.
That's the agenda is through culture. The agenda is through music. The agenda is through these talk shows, right? And I had an incident. Where I almost turned Hope Negro, right? I'm in, me and my wife are in Uggs in Woodbury Commons. So my wife had asked me a question, and I said, and I told her, it was about some cleaner for the Uggs. I said, yo, I got you. Don't worry about that, right? You know, I got you. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, hey, listen, we got it under the house. It's underneath the sink. Got it like that. So the woman behind the counter in our conversation, you know, jumped in and said, girl, you know, these men don't know what they talking about. And I laid her
No, she did not.
I laid her out. I laid her out. And I said some nasty words because you should mind your business. You should mind your business. Right? And she was of that other persuasion. You understand what I'm saying? And so I had to check her. You know, I'm the man. You might look like a man, but I'm a man. And you're not going to tell my wife what I have in my fucking house. You don't live there. Right? So it got nasty. Then I called the office. I'm like, I'm not through with you. I'm not through with you. But
she worked at Uggs? She worked at Uggs?
Worked at Uggs.
Okay.
So I ended up calling the national office. Like, yo, y'all need to check your people.
Well, she should have. That was inappropriate, and she was out of line for that on so many levels. But that's that privilege, baby. You know that, right? That's that privilege. They can just say whatever they want to people.
Exactly. But see, now when you start with continuing with these narratives, right? People will believe them, right? You say a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. So and then there's no voices, right? There's no voices, and then they try to silence voices, right?
Of course,
we're being just this show, right? Talking about black love between black men and women offends people.
I'm sure
it offends people. People are getting offended because we're saying, right? We have to work on self in order for us to love each other and have proper relationships between black men and women. People are offended right now just by the show, and I don't care, right? I don't care, but we have to continue to push that because there's outside forces, and I really believe that people are getting paid a lot of money, you know, to keep black men and women from having loving spiritual duality relationships. I really do, because they want to keep the black man out of the house. They don't want that type of unity, because we could change our communities with that. You know, we could change the economic establishment of the black community. Instead of one salary, there's two salaries now in these homes, right? And they know that. They know that. So they always perpetuate, you know, this single woman life, right? I saw a girl post a picture. On one side, it was a family, man, woman, kids. The other side, it was a woman sitting on a stool, and she had a wine glass and pizza in her hand. And they said that was equal. That's not equal. I said, the family is peace. The family is structure. I said, look at the woman. She's gonna be overweight and an alcoholic, right? Because she's gonna be by herself, because she thinks that's equal. You know, let's not start having young girls thinking that is equal. There's nothing wrong with being single. Absolutely not. But when they start thinking that being by themselves, you know, is equal. No, it's not equal, because then you won't put out the proper energy to get a man, because you don't feel that is even necessary. You know, and then you have a baby by some idiot, right? And then you're mad because you don't value family, right? The child is just a accessory and to move up. And we can't have children. We can't be raising children as accessories, right? We have to raise children as future us, as the future for not just our families, but the future as our community and the future as our nation. We got this whole shit so backwards, and it's going to get worse because we're not addressing it. You know,
Well, I appreciate that you had put the CDC statistic up the other day about the Black men are more active than they portray that. Like, I always knew that because I knew that, but like society or the way they try to portray us on TV and other places, that you would think that all Black men are deadbeats, but that is far from the truth. And I'm really glad that you have posted that. That's why I shared that, because I want people to start seeing us in a different light, viewing us in a different light. Are there some deadbeat dads? Absolutely. But to say that all Black men are deadbeat dads is ridiculous.
But I had women argue with me, and I'm like, yo, I didn't do it. Oh, that's not.
Remember, Damien, people are they're gonna be projecting from their own experience, right?
I said, well, don't get mad at me. You had the 30%. Don't get mad at me. You chose the 30. You just chose the 30%. You just chose one of the brothers that's part of the 30%. It's okay, right? It's okay, But the study is what the study is, But the thing, not even to give Black men credit, is saddened to me, because we've been missing in the conversation
for so long.
Exactly.
For so long. That's why, I'll send you little I call them my little sunshine rays. I'll send you every now and then of encouraging you to be Black and be powerful, and we desire you and we need you, because I have a son. And so I'm always pouring into my son, because people don't pour into men. We don't pour into men. Most women want to be poured into, but we're not pouring into our men. So I said, if I can do this to Nas, and I have a bunch of guy friends and homeboys and things like that, I'm just going to start blasting that out to everybody. And you'd be surprised, how many men have, I've had to run, I might have did it 2 months ago, and I run into them in the street, and they'll be like, yo, Nick, let me talk to you for a second. Mama, that morning you sent me that text, I was going through it, and you just gave me that little lifeline. Thank you, baby girl. I was so touched by that, because I'm just doing something from my heart. Let me just send my brother something.
It was needed. The last show with Dr. Charmaine Jenkins, one of the conversation was
excuse me.
Women should not be afraid to give men affirmations, right? And women have gotten away oh well, if he's a simp. If every human being needs affirmations, right? Thank you, yo, babe, you did a great job. It's not. It's the proper way of handling people, right? It's just a proper way to handle people, and you want them to say, you do something great, you want your man to say, you know what, babe, I'm so proud of you. You took this project and you went and it's a success. I'm proud of you. Men want women to do the same thing. I don't understand how some women feel that they don't even have to affirm their man. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Well, you're supposed to do things too that you don't do it, but I don't throw that in your face. So the whole thing is, right, men need affirmations, women need affirmations. We're supposed to affirm each other.
That part. We should be loving and pouring into each other. not just one person receiving and one person giving. It should be a give and take interaction, and not only in romantic, platonic. And I'll go back to my mother. My mother always instilled those Southern, baby, you treat people like how you want to be treated, right? And you always say please, you always say thank you. My mantra, if I can make somebody's day feel better, like if my presence can make somebody feel better, then I know I've done my job. Because like there's so many people out here just running around here tearing people down. It's nothing to be kind to people. Like I just don't. And it's not just with Black people. I see it with all type of people. Like I don't know what's going on with this world. We're just so selfish, and everything is take, mine, and I'm getting the bag. Everything is money driven, right? Money all the time. I just don't. We've missed the human connection of like just connecting and being present with people and just being kind and respectful and loving.
Right.
I don't get it. I don't
understand it neither. But it needs to be changed, right? Even let me tell you, I knew we was heading down the wrong road when TD Jakes got attacked for making a statement about women being in their masculinity.
Honey, well, I always say this, you Black women, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for it because we have carried the civilization, and I'm a Black woman on my back. I get it, but we do not like to be held accountable, Damon. We do not. We don't want to be called out. We don't want to, I had to be masculine because no. Our natural energy is feminine. I get it. I had to be masculine a little bit when I was a single mother, and I had to, get out there and make the money to make sure we had, but I still always remained soft. Like or you didn't have a father, or you didn't see your mother have positive relationships. But those are the choices that you made. It shouldn't change you.
Exactly. I tell women, your femininity is not in your nails or your hair.
Nope.
or whatever clothes you wear. Like we get it twisted that's femininity. No, femininity is your nature and your spirit
and your essence, right?
If you can't bring that out, right, you're gonna lose a masculine man because he's not gonna deal with another masculine. It's not happening.
Not. And then it's interesting
that man. You're gonna lose that man.
Yeah, and it's interesting when I see those women because when they end up with a guy, he's always a beta.
Yeah. And
I just laugh to myself now. I don't say anything, but in my head, I'm just like, look at that beta ass man she got, but she swears she's doing something.
Exactly. He's just low frequency.
But, in her mind, because, he might, like you said, he has all the accessories, a car and a really good job. But when I hear how you talk to your man in public, that's a red flag to me. And I cannot stand women that henpeck their husband. That is one of my pet peeves. Or that are so disrespectful to their man when they're out, and so that already lets me know. Or how they talk to him, I'm just like, okay, yeah, she had to get her a beta dude because no real alpha man will put up with that.
No.
You don't care about that $200,000 job and what you drive in and you own your own home. He don't care about none of that.
It means absolutely. And let me tell you, once you're in your 50s, all that means nothing. It means literally nothing. The question is, can I be at peace with you? Right? And if I can't be at peace with you, then you can't be in my life. Right? And that's a spiritual person. If I can't connect with you spiritually, if I can't connect with you mentally, and you can't be my peace, when I'm out here doing what I do, working overtime or doing 3-4 different businesses, and if I can't be at peace with you, then I don't need you, right? Because life is too short. Life is too short, and so these young girls got to understand, if you want a man making money, and there's nothing wrong with that, but be prepared to be his peace. Be prepared to be his peace. And if you're not going to be his peace, he ain't going to stay around too long.
But it's interesting because remember I said I sent something to you that I also wanted to talk about with that whole, be his peace. And but we're programmed, right? Because think about how we raise our Black daughters. And I'm going to speak from my personal experience. So we raise Black daughters to be independent. So no, you don't have to worry about no man. That's what my father said. But my father always would always say to my mother too, but make sure you're in the kitchen teaching Nikki and Kimba how to cook so they can be wives also too, because that was important to him. So we had that balance. But you can't keep saying to Black girls, be independent, and your own father's telling you this. I want you independent. I don't want you to have to depend on no man. I'm going to take care of you, this, that, and the third. But then when we start dating, all our life we've been told we need to be independent. Why don't we say we need to be codependent? I'm not codependent, interdependent, excuse me.
Right. No, we don't, because we don't. My mother told me the same thing. She says, I'm going to teach you how to cook so no woman can use this against you.
That part, right? Or I'm going to teach you how to cook, clean, and take care so no woman don't have, I told her that. I'm going to teach you how to cook, clean so you know how to take care of yourself so you ain't got to wait on no woman to take care of you.
You ain't got to worry about no woman not washing your clothes because she mad at you. You got to learn how to do all that stuff. You're going to learn how to sew. You're going to learn how to, my wife be like, "What? You sewing?" Yeah, I'm hemming my pants. I'm sitting here hemming my pants, right? Because the whole thing, because we do that, right? And we do it to our young men, and we do it to our young women, but we don't talk about the importance of the men being husbands.
We don't
understanding the responsibility of husbands and what a husband is, and and women being wives. And understanding responsibility of being wives, and then understanding the vow, like when you take that vow to be a husband or a wife, what does that vow entail, right? What does that? So we don't put that in perspective. I made mistakes made a lot of mistakes with my son, made a lot of good choices, but now I'm like having the conversation, and he's looking at me like, dude, who are you? Right. Who? What are you? What? Nah, right? That's not what you said 15 years ago. 15 years, I was a different person.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? 15 years. Don't judge me from when I was 40. Right? Don't judge me when I was 40. Me and my son is 20 years apart. So he sees the difference. And we have these conversations, and he's like, but that's not what you said. I know what I said before, but now I went through things that you haven't went through yet. And I'm saying, listen, what I said back then is wrong. This is what you need to do.
Look at that valuable lesson that you even admitted and said what I said to you was wrong, because a lot of times as parents, and especially as Black parents, right? They don't apologize. They don't apologize. We just, buy you some food, or I said what I said and that's just what it is, and blah, 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 blah. So him even seeing that you apologized and was like, well, that was wrong, but this is where we're at now, is a huge learning moment. And I commend you for that.
Because you have to, you have to tell them, right? Because you don't want them to make the same mistakes, and that's the goal of parenting, right? So your children don't make the same mistakes as you made, but you have to be honest with yourself that you made mistakes, right? And if you're not honest with yourself that you made mistakes, my mother, we became drinking buddies, man. I used to be at the lodge with her all the time, and she used to every stage as I grow up, she dropped me different type of knowledge, because if she would have told me certain things, earlier, I probably wouldn't be able to process it. As a father, as a father and as a husband, we had different conversations than we did when I was out there just single, running around, going to parties and stuff. There were different conversations, And I'm seeing, and I got that, you know, from her, you know, and now with my son, I know I have to have certain conversations at certain times, you know, because because they're not going to be able to process it correctly. And even if you do drop the seed, you know, sometimes they won't get it till 20 years later. You know, they see like, wow, that's what, oh my God, that's what Ma was talking about. Man, you know, because life, they grow and they have experiences, you know, and then that seed grows. But sometimes you're just not ready for conversations. Man, my mom's in her last year, man, would drop crazy stuff on me, you know, and she just felt at that time, you know, I was ready to process it and understand it, because the fact that she knew she was leaving the earth, and yo, I gotta hit you with all this, you know, because I'm not gonna be here, you know, to have your back, you know, so you're gonna have to be on your own, and we have to prepare our children. We have to prepare our children for the day that we're not here, you know, that they're able to process information and stand on their own, you know, and one thing that a lot of times we don't do well is secure our children in faith, you know, because we're caught up in this culture that has a lack of faith. It has a huge lack of faith, you know. We don't hear people having that type of conversation, you know, and I think we have to get to that point, and these pastors need to be called out, right? Because if that's your lane, you know, I don't want to get in your lane. That's your lane, right? You're Dr. So and so, Dr. Pastor, Dr. Bishop, Dr. whatever, right? I'm not trying to get in your lane, but I do know that you got to up your game, you know, because there's a lack of spirituality in the Black community, you know, and it doesn't make sense that we have churches in the Black community, and the Black community is in the conditions that the Black community is. Yo, Jesus didn't come for us to be poor. He was poor.
Well, you know, it's a lot of systematic racism, and they, you know, they knew that they had to disenfranchise the church, right? Because look how long during COVID, that was one of the last places that they allowed people to congregate. Everything else was open, but the churches was the last place that they allowed people to meet, large groups of people to meet.
Right.
And they know in the Black community, because that's what we really had from slave time, was our spirituality and our religion. That's what held us to go through that whole week of torture. Basically, we knew we had Sunday, right, to praise and do what we need to do. And then the churches became so powerful. That's why they started bombing them and doing all the things that they do to churches. So they have definitely disenfranchised us with that. And some pastors, I don't know. Because I don't really go to church like that. I'm more of a spiritual person. And if I do go to church, I follow, like, you know, I stream it a lot. I don't know if we have preachers up here that are as captivating, but I know there's a lot of good churches that people like to go to. But I don't know if they're going to them because they're getting what they need spiritually. Because I know when I go to church, I like to feel fed. So like it encourages me for the whole week, you know, fills my spirit for the whole week. But you know, and you have to understand too, Dame, a lot of these churches get money. So they can't be out here, you know, they dance into two devils, right? You can't take money from this place and then want to help, but you still, you know, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't, right?
You know, the white man has known how to, you know, they know how to get in there and just twist this all up, don't they?
Listen, when Bush, Umar Johnson spoke on it, but he was real. It was the law to give the government to give churches money under Bush. I knew that was a bad idea. right? Because you quiet the pastor, right? You quiet the pastor from saying to the government, "Thus say the Lord," right? Jesus never, and and I know some pastors that got government jobs. I know it, and it is what it is, and it's not personal. But there's nothing in the New Testament that Jesus told his disciples, go fill out a civil service test and take a job, right? It's nothing. And if you're a pastor, if you got a church, I believe you're compromised. If you're taking a check from the government, it is what it is. And I understand churches have to survive. I get all that. But when you are deemed to tell the truth, when you are deemed to call out evil for what it is, there's a silence, right? Because of the fact that you're getting a check. One of the things me and AJ talked about all the time, when we take money, you got politicians and you got municipalities, want to put Black Westchester on payroll, for ads and things like that. And we always have this conversation, well, what happens when they do something crazy? Or are we going to fall back because we're scared to lose that advertisement check, right? So we take things with caution and understanding, and also to the point we had to put a disclaimer in the paper, just because you took an ad don't mean that we ain't gonna come after your behind if you do something crazy, So I think all that has to be looked at. But the Black community,
But look at the celebrities that don't say anything, that have so much power and influence when things happening and no one says anything, right? They just kind of turn, the other way and act like it's not affecting them, because there's a lot of things that they could speak up on, but they don't.
right, yeah. Well, but that's because
We don't have unity. We don't have unity with each other. That's an issue that we don't have. We don't have unity with each other the way we should.
No, we don't. And I think that when the police killed Kenny's father, I think that was an example how Black people have lost their respect for themselves, right? Because of the fact that I've been with Kenny from the beginning of his father's death. His father calling me from Kenny calling me the day after his father got killed, all the way up to the day I've been with him. I've seen more white people at rallies for Kenny than Black people. I've seen the silence of Black elected officials, Black pastors, on the fact that police officers recorded on an audio called Kenny's father the N-word 3 times. And we could barely get politicians out. Barely. I've seen the city of White Plains drag Kenny, it's over 10 years now, into court. I've seen standing room only, same Black politicians, same elected officials, same all that. When someone wrote a swastika on a school dumpster, you couldn't even get into the picture of so many politicians, right? But when it came to the police killing a man, calling him the N-word 3 times on audio, and the district attorney saying, "Oh, well, they just used the word as a mean to distract him." what? And nobody, and not one politician said, Janet, what's wrong with you? Not one. Not one. It amazes me.
It is so hard. I mean, hard is probably an understatement. Like the way they just devalue and disrespect us in our faces. I sometimes I think I'm numb, to be honest with you, and I think I've had to do that as a protective mechanism to keep myself sane.
Right.
Because, like, Kenny's whole story, you see the young man that got choked to death on the train, and then it was all these stupid ass responses from the mayor of New York City, who's a black man, and then you had the governor. Like, what? If the shoe was on the other foot and a black man would have choked a white man on the train, first of all, the police would have came from out of nowhere because I don't know how that even happened, and he would have been arrested because they weren't even going to arrest him at first.
No, they wasn't. They wasn't going to arrest him. And you know what the sad thing, the crazy thing about that is that Jonathan Majors got arrested for alleged choke of this woman. He didn't even kill her, right? Which ruined his whole career for alleged choke. And they arrested Jonathan Majors that night. And this white boy was allowed to linger around until the
home.
Go home.
He turned himself in. They didn't pick him up. He turned himself in.
Exactly. That and that show. I know Eric. Eric's my man. But I said, dude, you. I screwed up my name. He admitted that in the last hour of 75, he met her here in this fucking girl parking lot around dinner time, and it wasn't happy. I was actually. Yeah, I think my computer got hot. We was getting hot up in here, man.
Hey, AJ, how are you?
Hey, what's good? What's good? Oh, yeah. I got on.
I hope that
froze.
we can come up with some, because we're bringing up a lot of great topics, but I'm a solution based because I'm a woman who operates in her feminine energy. And so I'm resourceful, and I hope that we can leave our viewers with some solution-based things that they can do. And I know, Damien, you're always dropping gems on us, talking about our food. God is in our food, and medicine is in our food. And I'm a big advocate. I just started drinking watermelon water. I probably need to, yes. And I've been doing a lot of research myself, and I think a lot of people are under the misconception water is great, and I'm a big water advocate. I do my water challenges, but when you water yourself or you drink a lot of water, you're just flushing. The key afterwards is to make sure we're doing a lot of hydration also too. So eating a lot of fruits that provide hydration naturally, and staying away from those sports drinks because they're not good for us.
No. Yeah, we gotta stay.
I've been watching this guy called Flav City, and I have Vanessa cracking up. I was just like, girl, I have to stop watching this man. I said, because he's making me like not want to eat anything because he is like breaking everything down in regards to like our lotions, our detergents, all the chemicals that this country, and no wonder everyone is so sick. When my mother had cancer 10 years ago, my mother's a 2-time cancer survivor. She got cancer when she was 70 and 71. And when I took her to the chemo doctors, it would be standing room only getting in there. That kind of really rocked my world when I saw that, because I was like, so many people have cancer. And it wasn't just old people. It was all ages of people having cancer. And when we came up, Damien, we didn't really hear about a lot of, oh, such and such had cancer. It is common now for people to have cancer. And it's so ridiculous. And when you look at what they are putting in this food, stuff that is banned in other countries, but we do here. Vanessa always, she's in a medical business. She's a medical biller, and she's always talking about these doctors, girl, they just be playing with us. They don't even know what they be doing to us half the time. We're guinea pigs. Like we have these conversations, and that's another thing too. You have to surround yourself around high frequency people that are on the same level. So our conversations are different, because we're not talking about gossip. We're talking about how can we better ourselves? How can we better our families? How can we better serve the community that we are taking care of?
It's that I tell my wife the same thing. I said, I tell my wife all the time. I said, look, you want to be better at the cupcake business, right? You got to be around people that's in the cupcake business. You got to be around those people that are in the bakery business. You got to find a network of Black women or Black people that are in that business. Right now, she's down in Atlanta taking a class at a woman that owns a business. Right now, when she comes home, she's going to be energized. Right?
Yep.
She was around. Sometimes, you have to be around people that are in that type of business. You just can't be around the same people. The people at work, right? That's your friends, but you have to get around a group of people. You have to get around people that's more like-minded. And I'm not saying dish your friends. I'm not saying that. But in order for you to grow, right? You have to be around those type of people. I'm doing the speaking and all that. I got to be around those people that are life coaches, that are this and that. I have to be around. Those are the people that I have to be around in order to sharpen who I am and learn the business. Right? If I'm not around them, right, I'm not going to grow properly. Right? And I tell AJ all the time, you got to get back with them hip hop cats, because you're doing a lot in literature. You got to get around them, because that's what it's all about. We have to grow in order to grow. You got to understand that you have to be around certain people. It's called mentorship, right? You have to be around certain people. We don't understand mentorship. Yeah, I was blessed. My whole, God willing, July, I'll be done with the law enforcement stuff, right? But I was blessed.
Congratulations. How many years?
33 years.
Wow.
But I was blessed to be around these elder statesmen of Black law enforcement to be one of the dope young dudes at the time running around the country talking about police brutality, police accountability, and do all that. And that was great. Right. But now, since I'm not doing that, I still talk that, but now I'm in health and wellness, dealing with herbs and vitamins. I got to be around people that do that in order for me to grow. And if I'm not around those type of people, I'm going to have a hard time learning, because you have to have mentors. You have to have people that's going to teach you and show you. And sometimes that is expensive. Right?
It is.
It's expensive, and I'm just getting my mind wrapped around some of the prices.
It is. But anything anything that's self-worth is worth it, right? Because you're pouring into yourself.
Exactly.
I'm big on mentorships. I always have had mentors. I'm great at asking questions and asking for help, and that's something I feel like a lot of Black people don't do. We don't ask for help, and we all need help.
Right. Right.
And we all know that, nothing can't work when it's just team I. So that's where the collaboration comes together, and we collaborate with people like minds, build, you know what I'm saying, civilizations.
Exactly. We have to do it. We have to do it. But we talked about, so you mentioned Vanessa in the medical field, right? What's crazy, my wife was either she was somewhere, either at the hospital or outpatient, and I think she was checking on somebody. She was working, right? And she had me on she had me on speakerphone. Which I didn't know I was on speakerphone. So I don't know why people always just throw people on speakerphone, because you never know what they're gonna say, right? So the nurse or the doctor, I don't know, it was a female, and I could tell she was a Black female. So the guy, I guess it's either his test came back that he was pre-diabetic or whatever it was, right? Or he told her he was pre-diabetic. When I started paying attention to the conversation, I just got into the thing, and she was telling him, you got to take your medication, have to take your medication. She says, if you don't take your medication, I can't think of the name of it. I keep forgetting the name. When your hands get numb and your feet get numb from the diabetes, right?
Myopathy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's nerve. It's your nerves.
Nerve endings, yeah.
Right. She says, well, if you get that, you'll have it for life. Right? So I'm listening, and I'm like, what did she just say? Right? I didn't know I was on speaker. I said, Montego, did she just tell that man that he'll have it for life? She's lying, right? Why would she scare that man like that to take the medication, right? So because I know it's reversed, right? Because I did it myself.
But they don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that. That's, they don't want us to know that. And that's why I always say with my mothers, that's why I'm so passionate with like Black women, because we are the ones that are feeding our families. We are the ones that are showing. And yes, I get it. I cook soul food. I know, guys, I cook soul food, but once a week. And Vanessa and I try to source the best products, the best ingredients. So I'm not just giving you crappy, cheap, canned food. We're trying to get fresh fish, fresh everything.
Right.
And it's all about balance, right? So for me, I don't eat soul food because I cook it all the time, for one. So I'm over it, right? And so the balance is I try to eat healthy any other time. Right. And I tell people, don't make it crazy. Everybody can have a cheat day. I think we make things way too much more complicated than it really is. So if you really sit down and do some meal prepping and really like be intentional, because that's what it is. You have to be intentional. You have to want to change these generational habits that have been passed down to us. Because some of them, I don't want to necessarily call them curses, because our parents and our ancestors had to do the best that they could at that time.
No.
And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So we have to respect some of the things that they've done. But now that we know better, we can do better.
Right. And sisters, man, that are watching, if you love your man, right? Don't Uber eat him to death, because you're going to kill him. Man,
listen, first of all, me and Vanessa talk about this again. It is astonishing to me how many women don't cook no more. It is astonishing, Damon, how many women do not cook anymore. Wives. So what are you feeding your children? Like when I was little, we might go out to dinner once a week. That'll be our treat. But every day I cooked.
Yeah. Well, look, I went to school every morning with a hot meal. all the way through high school. My mother had a hot meal every morning, you know. So I mean, we have to, but that's the culture right now, right? So
But no women are cooking.
yeah,
But so what are you feeding your man? What are you feeding your children? Food? You're not cooking at all?
they're Uber eating, right? And if the man ain't got a mama like mine and taught him how to cook, he's in trouble, right? He's going to Uber eat, and then after 3 years being with that woman, he's going to have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and be a type 2 diabetes. And after 5 years, 6 years being with that woman, he's going to have his leg amputated, and then she's going to leave him for another man because she ain't going to be doing all that.
Well, it's so funny because that's something that, I'm single. And so when I date, that's one of the conversations that, I like to observe. Are you exercising? How are you eating? Because if I'm doing all this work, because like I always say to Vanessa, I'm not pushing nobody in no damn wheelchair because they decided not to eat right. And now they got their leg cut off. And I got no. I didn't sign up for that in my elderly years. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not a spring chicken. I see myself riding my bike with my grandchildren. I see myself being very active. So it is very important that I date a man that has the same values as I do when it comes to food. And like I said, I've been watching this man called Flavor City that I don't even go, and I'm a huge foodie and I love going out to eat. I've been cooking a lot lately because I don't trust it. I don't trust this government. I don't trust what they're doing. I don't trust anything. I cannot wait till I move and get situated because I want to start a garden. That was something I was doing when I was in North Carolina. I had my own garden down there, me and my mama. And I always remember when I was little, she would have me out there with her. And I used to be like, why I got to come out here and help you do this stuff? Like, girl, help me with this. And that's something that we do together when we're in North Carolina. Her plants, her garden, and things like that.
But look at the cycle that we're creating, right? Look at the cycle, and we wonder why these little black kids is running around with ADHD, because of the fact that, the devil's secret weapon against black people is the food we eat. And that's the devil's secret weapon. And until we understand that everything, I'm creating a class, and one of the things I'm saying in the class, everything starts with the food that we eat, and then that is the building block for success, right? Because you have to be. If you look at any really successful person, Steve Jobs and all them successful people, or any multi-millionaire, they watch what they eat, they exercise every day, they're up early, and they go to bed and they get the proper sleep.
Yep. I was posting what Angela Bassett had put up when she had talked about her diet and her lifestyle. Mm-hmm. She does like the sprout. She doesn't do any dairy. Mm-hmm. Sprout bread. It's the whole regiment. And she's 60 years old, killing it.
Exactly.
Killing it. Exactly. She talked about she has to pay money for her trainer. She has to work out. You know what I'm saying? She broke her whole regiment down for a whole week of how she lives. And it's really not even that hard. People think it's harder than it's really not. You just have to change some habits. And like you said, it's all in your food, because a lot of food clogs our brain. Also, too, with all those chemicals and all that stuff they put into it. So it's messing with our thought process. It's messing with men's libido. It's messing with women's sex drive. Is creating little girls that have breasts earlier than normal, menstrual cycles coming on earlier. Like, it's just messing up everything in our community. There's, like you said, the ADHD, the ADD.
Mm-hmm. All that.
Even when I look at how I fed Nasir 10 years ago, no, because I started about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I cringe. Like, oh my God, I was killing my baby. You know what I'm saying? I was saying to myself,
I said the same thing. Like, after my mom's passed, and one of the issues I saw when every morning I would get her medication and I would put her medication together. I used to try it, put it in the packs, but it wasn't good unless I did it, right? I don't know what to do. I'm like, come on, it's right there. It says morning meds, right? All you had to do is just click the thing open, right? But it wasn't good unless little baby boy did. I understood that, right? But then I started noticing, I'm like, yo, I'm on that meds too. I'm on that meds too. Damn, I'm on that one too. I'm like, yo, I'm on the same meds my mother's on, right? So after she passed, then I saw the story of Eric when he talked about he beat diabetes. He went blind, he went on, and he changed his diet. He beat diabetes. He changed his mother's diet, got off, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, Jesus, I was killing my moms with those egg and cheese sandwiches in the morning, right? Because that was her thing, right? That's I come in the house, I have a coffee and an egg and cheese sandwiches, right? And, but that's that's what she wanted, and that's our brought, but to think about it, to sit back and think, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I should have bought her a salad, right? And I was thinking, I was just thinking about all that, and
But you didn't know, so don't, like I said, when you don't know, you don't know. We're just eating based on how we were taught to eat.
yeah, but I thought when you get the information, you look back, you're like, oh my God, like
It is.
you're like,
Healing is very uncomfortable right now for me because you're looking at your past self and you're like, girl.
but we're able to laugh about it because we understand that it is a process and it's a continuing process.
It is.
Right now I'm struggling because of my injuries from the car accident. So I look at where I was last year before the car accident physically, and I'm like, man, I gotta get back. But because of my injuries, it's harder for me. And my chiropractor, he's like, you get there, just take your time, man. Don't
Be patient with yourself. We're not spring chickens.
Oh no, yeah.
Well, even for me, like I just had a setback like a month ago, and I know it was all stress related. So even through all the meditation and walking, I'm still human, and my body's going to break down if you have so much stress that you're dealing with and trying to control.
Right.
And so I just rebuild from that because,
Right.
like you said, this machine that God has blessed us with.
Right.
Is amazing, and people need to really start channeling their brain power. Exactly. Because literally you can change your body through your thoughts.
Absolutely.
And after that, I thought I had an ulcer, and all I had was severe gastritis. Mm-hmm. But the pain that I was in, I thought I had an ulcer, and I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised because I'm under a lot of stress right now. And they ran all these tests and everything came back and it was a severe gastritis. When I left the emergency room that day, I was just like, you know what? We're going to get our shit together.
Right.
And we're going to start really getting our thoughts together and not letting all this outside energy, because now it's affecting me eternally and we can't have that.
No. And, as I said earlier in the show, I'm working on my body healing certificate, and it's about like stress, man. It all through the classes, right?
Stress comes up, right? It comes up stress, doesn't it?
And it talks about how organs respond, how your organs respond to stress, and how we have to. We really have to control that, right? And we really have to we don't understand that, right? We don't understand the significance of that, and this is why I think, really want to teach that because, we don't have to be on all these medications, right? We don't have to have a community that is literally overstressed, overworked, right? And dealing. Yes, AJ.
And I definitely wanted to talk. I'm glad you came back to the medication. Yo, when you look at the side effects of this medication that they give you for whatever it is they give you for the side effects sometimes is worse than whatever it is that you're taking it for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
And then you have to get another medication for the side effects.
right.
Exactly.
And
That's the trick.
the medication doesn't cure. The medication doesn't cure the situation. It just masks it. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't cure you. You know what I'm saying? So then you like you said, then you get another medication, then another medication, and you know you want these things for life, and you don't have to be. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful, because I started reading the sheet that comes with the med when you get your prescription.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this can do that, can do this. 5% of the people have caused suicidal thoughts. I wait, hey, what? Like,
Yeah, it does.
Right.
Well, you know, this country is not big on prevention. We've gotten a little better, because I'm seeing like they're doing like meditation in schools, and you know, we have this whole health coaches and life coaches and things like that is built picking up momentum. But really, you go to a doctor, you tell him what's wrong with you, he just writes you a prescription. He doesn't really even ask you too many questions about what's really going on with you. He just looks at your symptoms and just writes you a question and sends you on your way. So, you know, we have to really start educating ourselves and being really aware of what is going on and be proactive. And it starts with you. It starts at home with us.
Everything. See, you want to know the key to life, right? Everything starts with you. If you have a bad relationship, it starts with you, right? If you have bad health, it starts with you. It don't start with anybody else. You know, it's easy for us to blame others for our shortcomings. It's very easy, right? But if we realize that it starts with us, many of our situations will be better. Will be better. Just look in the mirror. You know, Michael Jackson's son is on The Man in the Mirror. He knew what he was talking about. Right? You know, you start with yourself. Start with yourself first before you even criticize other people on what they're doing. You know, look at yourself first and examine yourself. You know, sometimes how many people actually sit down and take 5 minutes and talk to themselves? Not a lot.
We don't, because we're too busy just in this rat race, right? And you know, you just get up, you start your day.
Exactly.
And so like when I start talking about meditation, and you know, I get my little jabs like, oh, here comes Miss Ilana Bazan, or you know, oh, she's so, you know, oh, I forgot, you know, Nikki's World, and I know those are not my people. They're not my people, and that's fine.
No, you can't look. Everybody, I read something. I wish I had my schoolwork down here, man. I read something, and it says that similar. I'm going to paraphrase. It says, you cannot stress what other people believe if they believe opposite from what you believe. You just got to let it go. You know, even if you're right, you have to let it. You have to let it go. You know, we don't talk enough about meditation, and we don't talk enough about yoga, how great yoga is for stress, anxiety, PSD, you know, all those things. You know, like we don't even know our history in yoga as Black people. So when we're talking about health and wellness, man, and we're talking about getting better, it's so foreign. It's so foreign from Black people, because it's not talked in the homes. It's just starting to get taught in school, right? It's not taught from the pulpit, right? Because more church-going Black men got so many diseases and chronic illnesses, right? So it's not talked in the pulpit, you know. And when my mother had her funeral, AJ's nodding his head because he know what I'm about to say. When my mother had her funeral, I sat down with the pastor. He said, Brother Damon, you know, we're going to take care of everything. She was up on her ties. She was and we're going to cook the food. I said, whoa, I don't eat that. Right? He says, yeah, I know. And I'm like, yeah, but this is what killed her. Right? This is we're you know, you're feeding people the same food that killed her because she ate this food all of her life. This is the reason why we're we got the funeral. You know,
And
so
we don't need people like that.
Exactly.
That feed the people the food that killed the person at the celebration of the person's life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you celebrate and that's black churches across the board. Like, I mean,
well, that's the black
fried chicken. Look,
just because.
When I ask any black man what their favorite meal is, you know what the number one thing is, right? Fried chicken. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? I swear.
It can't be still fried chicken.
Fried chicken, Damon. I'm telling you, fried chicken.
What about, ain't nobody say fried oysters?
No, baby. No fried oysters. No, baby. Sorry. No. Fried chicken. That's the top favorite meal, fried chicken.
But that's, I mean, that's our culture. I mean,
It is our culture. It is our culture. So my mantra is try to have a balance with it, right? Because who doesn't love a good piece of fried fish or macaroni and cheese or collard greens? Because our food is amazing, right? But it has to be a balance. You cannot eat that every day. No, absolutely not. Period.
And we're also not taught our culture. I don't know. It was like a couple of years ago. All the kids had to bring in something of their culture, like cultural food. And the black kid brought a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what his parents ain't never teach him about his culture. That was culture to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oriental people bringing in the stuff that's Oriental, and Latinos bringing the stuff that's, there's culture to their heritage. He brought in a bucket. He was an elementary kid or junior high school. He didn't buy it himself. His parents had to take him to get that, to bring that. It was their idea.
That's one of the things that I always feel so disconnected as African Americans, right? Because that's what they took from us. They took our culture. So we had to kind of learn our own culture and make our own traditions when we got here, that what they allowed us to do. So I'm so blessed. Like I always tell people, to be raised in a Southern household, because I know a lot of New Yorkers that don't have that Southern connection, and they don't move the way I move or we move when you're raised with Southern, because Southern parents and Caribbean parents have a lot of the same similarities of how they raise their children.
Yeah. And I caution people to also, when they, there's a lot of, which is nothing wrong with it, but there's a lot of vegan soul food and vegan, which
that's the new wave right now.
Some people know how to do it, some people don't. It's very time consuming, and God bless whoever does all that, to take the cashews and blend all the cashews to make the cheese, and that's a lot of work. But also, I caution people, that's not everyday food either. Right? Because a lot of the vegan stuff, is high in sodium. Right.
It is.
So I caution people also, it's good to have now and then. But at the end of the day, ain't nothing better than some just vegetables, man. Whether you steam them, whether you broil them, whatever you do is nothing better than some good old vegetables and some fruit and water or infused water, however you want to do it, and get some herbs up in there through teas or put them in the blender and blend it and understand the different herbs that you need in your cabinet to season the vegetables. So ain't nothing ain't nothing better, right? And I'm to the point, and process of a spiritual fast, just raw vegetables.
Interesting. I want to get to that point. I'm not there yet, but that's something that I want to do. Raw fast.
Right.
I'm doing right now the Arcadian eating when the light time. So I eat when the light's up. You know what I'm saying? Sun up to sundown. I've been going. I said it's weird how, like, when you're walking in your purpose, it just kind of calls you.
Right.
So God's been waking me up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and we've been talking, and I'm just up,
And that's beautiful. Let me tell you, once we get this other website up, once I get it up and running, there's going to be a free class on the spiritual fast, right? So people can sign up and they can take the class, and it goes over everything that's needed to do the spiritual fast, and then down the road, I'm just going to, once I have time, when I retire, I'm going to do a whole 2 weeks with people that we're going to do it together, right? We're going to do the spiritual fast together.
Oh, let me know. I definitely would want to partake in that because I know I need an accountability partner.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. We almost, what time is it? Oh, we're at that time. Nikki, is anything you want to tell the listeners?
Just start off. This is what I tell my clients: small, manageable changes. Do not overwhelm yourself, right? Start off with small little changes in the morning. If you say that you're going to eat an apple all week, then just stick with that apple all week and then build from there. If you want to do apples, then start with your watermelons, your grapes, your fruits. Encouraging everyone to drink more water and encouraging everyone to exercise or walk at least 30 minutes 3 times a week. Got your apple, AJ?
Yep.
And also at least take some time to just sit and be still. There is a plethora of apps on YouTube that can help you with meditation if you're not comfortable just sitting without anything on. And let's just have an amazing June coming up, guys.
I want to thank everybody who was watching. Tomorrow, if you I guess I have to put it up on Black Westchester. Tomorrow, what's going down tomorrow is at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'm doing a Meatless Monday and Motivation. It's going to be on Zoom.
Okay.
Meatless Monday and Motivation. I'm going to talk about an article that's on Black Westchester right now, the diabetes factor, the difference in your body in processing sugar and fruit than sugar, meat, and processed foods. I think that's something that we need to talk about because there's a big misconception that if you eat a bunch of fruit, it's a man that's high in sugar. You ain't doing nothing. You just eating more sugar, right? But no, you are doing a lot better than processed sugar and the sugar in meats and sugar in processed foods. So we're gonna talk about that tomorrow on Meatless Monday and Motivation and whatever else comes up. Because
sounds good. I love Meatless Mondays. That's something I started in my house when we started our fitness journey. And let me tell you, that first month, baby, everybody in the house was angry. First month, everybody was angry. Our bodies was going through complete withdrawal. Nas was angry. My ex.
One day.
No, we started. No, we did it for when I first started like our health journey.
Right.
So I would do Meatless Mondays. And then that first month though of like taking out all the sugar and no sodas and like, minimizing the processed food, man, listen, this whole household was cranky because our body was so addicted. People don't realize how addicted we are to that stuff.
Yeah, we're addicted to sugar. It's crack, right?
It's crack.
It's straight up crack. So now I've added fruits and vegetables Friday. So
okay, I saw that. I like that.
Yeah, so we're moving up the ladder to 5 days a week, but it's meatless Monday and fruits and vegetables Friday.
We'll say that. It's like meatless Mondays, guys. They be like, in the beginning,
I'll be up in the morning. Meatless Monday. Let's go. Let's get it. I know people like, this dude has lost his damn mind, man.
But the people that get it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there that want what we're giving them.
So Brenda L. Crump challenged me to a fruit only breakfast for the month of June.
No.
Okay.
So I told her I accepted the challenge. So
okay, good for you, AJ.
Yeah, man, just go get some blueberries, raspberries, and blueberries, raspberries,
blackberries,
strawberries. I'll show you because I'm ready to make one tonight.
That's what I have in the morning. I do a protein yogurt, but like the high-end organic protein yogurt, and then I just mix my berries, drizzle a little bit of honey in it, and then I put a bunch of nuts and chia seeds in it. And my son has put me on to the pliables, and see, look how the difference is. We're raised on a hot breakfast, right? But now all the healthy stuff is showing that it's a cold breakfast.
Well, usually I don't do breakfast, right? I have my tea. I have my shot in the morning, which I had posted with his black seed oil, oregano, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and ginger. I have a piece of I can't think of the name right now. A piece of something. I can't think of the name. I can't even think what it was. Anyway, so I have that for the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually around 12, I'll have a shake. Especially doing work, right? I have a shake. I have a shake in the morning. Usually my evening meal is the biggest meal. Unless I mess around and I break it. If I'm out hanging out and I'm like, yo, I'm going.
Of course. And we're all like, I tell people, don't make it so like stringent either, because it's a lifestyle. So that's why I say do small little steps. Exactly. And I do the same thing. I do my black seed oil and honey in the morning. Like everybody has their regimen that they do before they start putting in actual real food. But before I put overnight, that's how I break my fast with the black seed oil. I do tea, and then I'll do my fruit. And I don't have that about till like 10, 30, 11, because I have the black seed oil about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning with my hot tea. And sometimes I'll just do hot water, lemon, or I'll boil some ginger and just drink that.
Oh, aloe vera. I chop up aloe vera. Aloe vera. So I'm like, what the hell is the name of this plant? I chop up aloe vera into small pieces, and I take a piece with the skin. Right? It's a little square. I throw it in the mouth. I take another little square, and after I shave and wash, I put the aloe vera all over my face. It's a regimen, but I mean,
that's why that chocolate skin be looking so smooth, huh?
That's what you got to do, right? And I did a video, and I'm going to repost it, of my whole regimen with my face, right? Because I tell people, and I tell women too a lot, I say, look, a lot of times that makeup and stuff that you put on, I get it, right? But when they put on the bleaching cream and things, the chemicals that will get rid of the spots, I'm like, that's not an outside issue, that's an inside issue, right? You have to clean you got to detox and cleanse and put the right things into your body, which will get rid of those blemishes, and that all that will go away if you're eating right and you're detoxing, right? Because all that is just the impurities coming out in your skin and showing up in your skin. But if you change the intake, look. And I use a perfect example. Look at the Nation Islam. All them brothers' skin is clean. They just shine.
Listening. Listen, I always say that when I see the fruits of Islam out there on the corner selling them newspapers, baby, you know, they hit you with that, my beautiful black Nubian sister. Could I get you to buy me a newspaper? And they out there in them suits, just epitomizing black masculine energy, right?
Exactly.
Smelling like herbs and incense and open berry.
but
Skin just a glistening, nails clean.
But that shows you, you know, your diet can clean your skin. You know, the diet can clean your skin. And a lot of times women get caught on all that stuff, but it starts on the inside.
And all the makeup has a bunch of, like I said, this man is breaking everything down. So he was talking about his daughter. You know, little girls like to play with makeup. And so he was saying like the makeup that he allows his daughter to play with. And he broke it down. So like when we get the little, and I was guilty of that with my little nieces, the little makeup kits that you order from China. Let's bring them into the equation. That we order from China. And it's like, oh, this is cute. When I say he broke down all the chemicals so he gets his daughter, and yes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but wouldn't you rather have her playing with something a little bit more expensive than that cheap, crappy stuff? You don't know what it's doing to her skin or what it's putting into her system, because the skin is the largest organ. So once it hits, it goes right into our bloodstream, and then it's just distributed out through the rest of the organs in the body.
There's a sister we had on the show. We had earlier on the show. She has a plant-based makeup company.
Nice.
She lives up in Peekskill. I gotta remember when the AJ the show, and we'll have to put it in the link of the show, so people can watch her. She has a plant-based. She does eyebrows. She does everything. She's based out of Peekskill.
Really?
Yeah, and she has a plant-based makeup company. All her makeup that she uses is plant-based, all natural, organic. You know, and those are the things that we have to talk about. And it's a Black-owned business. You know, this is a Black woman with a healthy makeup line.
Alternative to makeup that we can use that's good for our skin.
Absolutely. So we have to have those discussions. AJ? No, AJ? AJ.
Yo, say that. I'm sorry. Say that again. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, now I can hear you.
I was having 3 other conversations. I'm sorry.
Now we're about to close out, man, because I don't want my I don't want my.
Yeah, I heard what you said. We got to
my
do.
computer is hot. Hey, it's burning up. That's why it shut off before.
Yeah, you was throwing all that heat on the show. That's why.
It's something, brother. So if anybody's watching,
yeah, we need to do an article.
What'd you say?
We need to do an article on her. On her. We need to do an article on her and her company. Yes.
Yeah. I'll reach out to her. I'll reach out to her. Yeah, that's about it. Just tune in tomorrow. You go on Black Westchester. Look, I'll find some way to put it up. It's the Zoom meeting. The password and the code is there that you could sign in. And I'll see everybody tomorrow at 9:00. Meatless Monday Motivation.
All right, everyone. Have a great week.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yo.